I looked at Harry and he looked at me. We both knew the other was nervous, but we nodded a reassuring nod. And then, we ran out onto the stage to an explosion of applause. Hi, my name's Louis. Some people's rivals are their enemies. Some, their own friends or strangers. Mine was my own twin brother. Harry and I did everything together. Ever since we were little, our parents would dress us up in matching clothes, and when we turned 4, we discovered that we had a knack for singing. From that day on, no family reunion, Thanksgiving dinner, or Christmas party was complete without us twins performing songs that our relatives would request. When we turned 12, we started getting shy, but our dreams of becoming performing artists never left us. Our mom would sometimes resort to dangling a $100 bill in front of us to get us to perform for her friends. I guess the main reason we lost a bit of confidence was because of Andy. Yo, here comes the singing and dancing fairy twins! Ha ha ha! I bet you they don't have girlfriends, 'cause they're dating each other! Ew! I bet they kiss each other and call it practice! Andy was always there to sneer at us and make us feel bad for doing what made us feel happy. And because the kids at school made us laughingstocks, Harry and I began to hide our talents. That was until the summer of our senior year, when the largest talent competition in the country came to our town to hold auditions. Harry and I were working at a car wash that day, and we were so psyched, we left without even asking permission. Oi! You can't just take off like this! Don't you bother coming back here! Don't worry, Boris. We won't need to! There were thousands of people at the audition, but somehow, Harry and I made it through to the final hurdle. As soon as we got on the stage, we were met with applause. The music started, and it all felt like a blur. I was only yanked back to the present when the lights dimmed and I could see in front of me. The judges all stood up, and the people behind them were wild with cheers. Some of them were even crying. I looked at Harry, and he nodded to me again. We both knew it. Our dreams were finally coming true. That episode aired on TV, and suddenly, our lives changed. All those people who tried to bring us down, the same people who called us losers, now, they wanted to be our friends. We had never been more popular with girls as when we became TV sensations. But we never let any of that distract us from our real goal. Not the screaming horde of fangirls, nor the guys who pretended like they were our friends. We won the whole competition. And we honestly thought it would be smooth sailing from then on. But turned out our dream was only perfect in our heads. The reality of working as an artist soon dawned on us, and Harry and I were thrust in the deep end of the real world. Contracts and responsibilities and schedules that felt like a prison instead of the freedom we envisioned. Deadlines that needed to be met put pressure on us and caused sleepless nights. At first, touring and doing concerts felt like an absolute joy. But after doing the same songs, the same dance, over and over, hundreds of times, the magic wore off. We felt like robots. Or at least I did. And soon, our magic too wore off. Less and less people were interested in the singing twins, and the fighting began. Harry wanted a more carefree life. Meanwhile, I was worried that our stardom was going the way of the dinosaurs. I was doing everything I could to help us stay relevant and exciting, and Harry was out there collecting as many fangirls as he could. It all came to a head when I fell in love with one of our assistant producers. She'd been with us for over a year, and I'd always had a crush on her. Harry knew that. I just never had the confidence to actually ask her out. Then, one night, while I was staying late in the studios, there was a blackout. I had to either wait for the power to go back on or just call it a night. I was tired and stressed as I usually was, so I decided to head home. Until I heard a sharp rapping on one of the glass windows. I looked behind me and I swear I nearly felt my soul leap out of my body. In the darkness, I saw a pair of eyes staring intently at me, and then her muffled cry. "Help!" She had been trapped in one of those rooms with the automatic doors that you can only access with access cards, and without the power, she couldn't get out. I tried to get the generator to work, but I was just a young kid who had no idea how to do things. So, the only solutions that came to mind were either break the bulletproof glass or somehow jimmy the door open. I was a lanky kid with no strength to speak of, so the first option was even more impossible to me. So, I tried to jimmy the door open. And then, when I succeeded, I did the stupid thing where I stopped thinking and I went inside, forgetting to wedge something against the door. Hannah's face fell. When I looked behind me, the door had closed again, leaving all the tools I used outside. We laughed about it, though, and I had a jacket on, so I gave that to her so she wouldn't feel so cold. We stayed up talking and laughing about the silliest things, and we must have fallen asleep because we awoke when the security guard burst into the room. Panicked that we lost consciousness for lack of air or something. We both brushed the whole thing off, and the experience kinda bonded us. It gave me the confidence to ask her out. And I knew that evening I would finally take that huge step. I rushed home and got ready. We were rehearsing a big number that night, and I knew Hannah was going to be there. I put on the nicest clothes I had a haircut, and picked up a dozen red roses on the way back to the studio. But when I got there, things were in chaos. "Sorry, bud, but this is for the better." "What are you talking about? What's happening?" "I'm going my own way. Got myself a much better, cooler management. They'll catapult my new career in a way this one never did. You understand? People want me out there, and I have to give them what they want." And just like that, my own twin walked out on our dreams and took half of my people with him, including Hannah. I was furious, and even more so when I learned that only a week later they started dating. Harry's career took off, but his music was garbage. And I can say that because I was the songwriter. I wrote all the songs that made us popular in the first place. So if he was going to go and live his own dream, I wanted to make sure my star shone brighter. If he wanted to go off on his own, then I wasn't going to let him hog the spotlight. I worked furiously for 6 months. I wrote faster and recorded the songs faster than ever before. I released my solo album and the world went wild. Suddenly, Harry was pushed out of the way, and everyone wanted me. I got to record movie soundtracks. I won 3 Emmys, and pretty much every single celebrity in Hollywood invited me to their parties. That was when Hannah came crawling back. And I gotta admit, my pride and hubris did me in. I wanted to stick it to Harry, so I took Hannah and dated her. Little did I know she was only there as a spy. A week later, the book where I'd written all my new songs for my next album disappeared. And so did Hannah. A month later, Harry came out with a smash hit of an album. Every single one of those songs were mine. And then he announced a world tour. My management told me that they estimated Harry would make billions off of my songs. They advised that I sue my own twin. But I didn't want to do that. I was furious. If I sued, it would only give him even more publicity. If there was going to be any news about Harry, I wanted it to be the kind that ends his career. He had betrayed me at every turn. All the hard work I put in, he stole. And he even turned the one girl I loved against me. The second tickets were released for sale. I bought all of it. In every city, in every stadium of his planned nationwide tour, I bought his concerts out. He was even going on national TV to brag about how every city was sold out. And then the big day came. When the stadium opened and the lights went up, Harry went onto the stage to find a single person in the audience. Me. And every single night he did his concert, it would be the same. I would sit at the very furthest row and clap slowly, mocking him for the way he stole what was mine. And the news picked up on it. All the articles, all the network news would show footage of an empty stadium and one person clapping. And it ruined Harry's life. Nobody wanted to see him anymore. His deals fell through. No advertisers even wanted to fund his appearances. And then I released the real story of why I bought out his concerts. And that was it. Nobody wanted to work with him ever again. See, he was a thief. And if there's one thing artists can't abide by, it's people stealing their work. And slowly but surely, Harry's star fell and mine rose again. Hannah even came back to beg for a job. You mean, give a job to a spy who stole my books? No, thank you. No, thank you, Hannah. I may have been blinded by your beauty, but I will never trust you again. You can try going to McDonald's. I won my 4th Grammy only months after all that, and as I exited the theater, ready to go to my 3rd after-party of the night, I felt a hand grabbing me from behind. I looked back and saw a grizzled man who was wearing tattered clothes. Please, man, I just need a little help. I'm starving. We could do a collab again, just like old times. I smiled, and for a second, Harry thought I was gonna fall for it again. I handed him a $100 bill and smiled. Sorry, bud, but I'm going my own way. You understand? People want me out there, and I have to give them what they want. The gravity of his own words hit Harry like a freight train, and I left him there, regretting every decision he made as I hopped into a limo full of gorgeous supermodels.